When we initially established contact with humanity, we were taken aback. It's not every day that an interplanetary government makes such a monumental error that it overlooks an entirely new sentient species within its own territory. Granted, it may have been a rather insignificant and undeveloped section of our domain, but the sheer volume of radio signals emitted by the humans with reckless abandon left our leaders with no justification for this oversight. Answers to this conundrum could wait, but the humans could not. They had already decoded our language and were attempting to communicate with one of our colony worlds, which they had apparently been observing for about a year of their time. Fortunately, the galactic bureaucracy had protocols for such occurrences, although these were typically reserved for primitive species that had just discovered faster-than-light travel. A 100 light-year sphere surrounding their home world was designated for them. Too bad that approximately 30% of that fell within Caran space, but that's a detail we can address later. Upon making contact with this new species, we were even more astonished by their physical appearance and behaviors. Earth, as it turns out, resided at the very edge of the gravitational spectrum, theorized to be conducive to the development of spacefaring life. Indeed, if their gravity had been any higher, their early attempts at spaceflight would have been futile, likely leading them to abandon their aspirations like many other species had unless uplifted, which is a rare responsibility for any race to undertake. Let me elaborate for those of you who haven't had the pleasure of encountering a human. Most high-gravity sapient species are approximately half the size of humans at their tallest and rely on their intelligence and numbers to solve problems collectively while competing against larger predatory species. However, this isn't to suggest that humans are particularly large. In fact, the average height of around 2 meters is just below the galactic average. As such, humans are relatively strong compared to other high-gravity sapients and extraordinarily robust compared to the average galactic species. Moreover, humans tend to be somewhat ungraceful in their movements due to their lifelong adaptation to high gravity. Their motions are swift and efficient, almost mechanical, when compared to those of other races. Consequently, they quickly gained a reputation as clumsy but powerful beings. This image was further reinforced by their seemingly endless optimism and tenacity, with the only exception being their past. It was rather endearing, to be honest, to witness human diplomats blushing and fidgeting while recounting a history filled with warfare and strife. They were so embarrassed about that it elicited laughter from several of our diplomats as they reassured the increasingly relieved humans that they weren't monsters for having fought a few wars among themselves. This stereotype was not helped by the humans' penchant for using brute force to resolve issues. Human engineers, for example, frequently employed their percussive maintenance techniques aboard ships and stations. To quote one of them, the only surprising thing about a human smashing a piece of delicate machinery to fix it is that it actually starts to work afterward. The more we discovered about the humans, the more comical they appeared to be, and they became the subject of many jokes within the bureaucracy. Naturally, the humans caught wind of this, and our government braced itself for the worst kind of retaliation. Part of the reason there were so many jokes about humans was our lingering fear of these incredibly strong beings. Yet, the humans, borrowing one of their own expressions, didn't care at all. They laughed it off and even shared a few jokes at their own expense. This experience helped to alleviate many of the fears that the bureaucratic species harbored regarding humans, resulting in a slew of new jokes made in good spirit. One popular quip suggested that if another species attempted to invade human territory, they would surrender their home world without a fight. For the next few years, humans happily expanded within their buffer space, establishing mining stations, colonies, and trade agreements left and right. It turned out that they were natural laborers. Their intelligence, which, to their credit, was not to be underestimated, combined with their immense strength and seemingly boundless energy reserves, allowed them to produce resources and consumer goods like no other species we had ever encountered. It seemed we were witnessing the dawn of an economic golden age for humanity, and everyone was pleased for them, especially due to the high quality of the goods they manufactured. Unfortunately, their most significant trade agreement collapsed. Early on in their interspecies trading endeavors, the humans had signed an exceedingly profitable deal with the Saruk stellar gospel, a deeply religious avian species that had been attempting to peacefully convert their galactic neighbors to their faith with little success. This trade agreement served as the backbone of the human economy, providing the necessary resources to ramp up production on a scale never before witnessed in human commerce. This makes what transpired next a minor tragedy. One of the human leaders was caught by a tabloid from a rim system, referring to the Saruk as the Jehovah's Witnesses of the galaxy, and expressing his annoyance with their relentless evangelism. Even though they were excellent trade partners, the article reached the attention of the Saruk High Speaker, who, outraged by the comments, declared that all trade with such a godless and ungrateful species would cease immediately. She swiftly contacted her diplomats within the bureaucracy, initiating a trade embargo. When the trade embargo was proposed for signing by other species wishing to also embargo the humans, we all anticipated outrage, believing it would send their economy into a downward spiral for years. Yet, as before, the humans remained unfazed. To be fair, they were somewhat impacted, but they didn't seem to mind too much. They even apologized for the rudeness of the leader whose statement had offended the Saruk. Their economy was reliant on that trade agreement, and it took nearly 2 decades to fully recover, even though only one other species agreed to the embargo. That isolationist group, no, I'm not going to disclose the full name of their empire, as they insist we do before acknowledging us, had already enacted embargoes against every other empire, making this a convenient opportunity for them to target the new race. However, humanity's troubles with the rest of the galaxy did not conclude there. As they neared the final stages of rebuilding their economy, they finally drew the attention of the Caran Infinite Armada, with whom they shared a border. It was inevitable that the Carans would discover them, despite the efforts of other bureaucratic members to keep humanity off their radar. For those unfamiliar, the Caran Infinite Armada is a heavily militarized nation that has been terrorizing the galaxy for the past 5 centuries. They are not a part of the galactic bureaucracy and, thankfully, are not genocidal or overly expansionist, but they possess enough military might to take on the entire bureaucracy simultaneously and hold their ground, if not prevail. Gradually, they had been seizing territory from their neighbors and had been at war with every member of the bureaucracy at one point in their history. This juggernaut set its sights on the emerging human empire. To the Carans, humans were an enigma, but more importantly, they were an untested enigma, ripe for the picking. We had done well to conceal as much information about this species as possible, but when the Carans discovered how formidable the humans were, they were eager to engage in battle. One ordinary day within the bureaucracy, a representative from the Caran Infinite Armada burst into the meeting chamber and formally declared war on the humans. The other races had become proficient at recognizing patterns, so it wasn't too surprising when the humans didn't cower. The humans looked to us for assistance in defending their territory, but we were unwilling to provoke the wrath of the Carans upon our own people. We explained the futility of attempting to fight them, even if every member of the bureaucracy united. It would be hopeless. The humans nodded, excused themselves from the meeting, and proceeded to strategize while we wished them luck. A few days later, as had happened before, a human and a Caran representative were brought before the other bureaucratic members to attempt to avert the war. To everyone's astonishment, all the Carans wanted was a 10-light-year buffer from their shared border with the humans. Initially, everyone was surprised at how little the Juggernaut sought from the new race, until we realized that their home world lay within that 10-light-year span. At that moment, even the Saruk and the isolationists exchanged glances filled with pity toward the human representative. We all expected the humans' nonchalant attitude to shine through once more. We thought they would relinquish their homeworld, as all the jokes suggested they would. We anticipated a resigned chuckle and verbal confirmation of surrender, but instead, we were met with an unnerving silence, followed by a declaration that I have framed on my desk to this very day. We of the Human Emirate Republic have deemed these terms unacceptable. Prepare yourselves for war. And with that, the humans declared war on the most powerful military in the galaxy, showing no fear whatsoever. About a month after the declaration, the human fleet appeared transformed. The humans, being industrious by nature, had made significant progress in constructing massive ships at an impressive pace. Almost defiantly, they proposed a total embargo on the Caran Infinite Armada, a thorough embargo that ensured not a single credit would change hands between the members of the galactic bureaucracy and the Caran Infinite Armada for the duration of the war. The humans pressured us to sign it, citing our inability to assist them militarily, and requesting us to at least do this much for them. We all signed, including the isolationists, as we didn't trade much with the Carans anyway. Their main export was mining explosives, and they had no significant imports beyond luxury intoxicants. They didn't possess a sizable shipbuilding capacity, as they were known to sacrifice entire fleets without hesitation. But this was only the beginning. When the embargo was enacted, the humans revealed what they had been working on for a month: the largest military ship the galaxy had ever seen. The human flagship was an astounding design, an ingenious engineering marvel made of countless layers of new alloys forged in their stellar foundries, ready to be the backbone of their military might. It possessed energy shields that dwarfed anything the Caran warships could muster. The flagship was designed to carry an extensive fleet of smaller warships that could launch relentless assaults from a distance. We eagerly anticipated a demonstration, but what we witnessed was more than we could have ever expected. What followed was an ambush that changed everything. The humans were experts at tactics, a fact we underestimated. They devised a brilliant plan to lure the Caran fleet into the open and execute what they called the massive counterstrike. As the Caran Armada engaged the main human fleet, they were met with an overwhelming array of firepower that annihilated the Caran ships. The human flagship, aptly named Victory's Dawn, had an arsenal capable of launching bombardments that would turn entire Caran squadrons into space dust. The Carans had been caught completely off guard, and they panicked, leading to a disastrous retreat that cost them a significant portion of their fleet. The war that followed marked the turning point for both species. The humans proved that they could effectively stand against the might of the Caran Armada. Their bold tactics, resourcefulness, and tenacity turned the tide of the war. Within just a few months, they had expanded their territory and gained the respect of the galactic community. The Carans were forced into a defensive position, struggling to maintain their dominance. As the war raged on, the humans continued to adapt, learning from every engagement and leveraging their economy to outproduce the Carans. They began to form alliances with other races who had previously viewed them as an oddity. The galactic bureaucracy rallied to their aid, and it became clear that the humans were not the weaklings we had once thought. Ultimately, the war concluded with a treaty that acknowledged the humans as an equal power in the galaxy. The Caran Infinite Armada retreated, but not without a newfound respect for the resolute and unpredictable human species. The galactic landscape had shifted, and the humans were now a formidable player in interstellar affairs. And so, it was through their strength, ingenuity, and an unwavering spirit that the humans had carved their place in the stars, proving that they were indeed deserving of their status as galactic citizens.